All right, everyone. Welcome to this weekly Sidereal Astrology forecast. This is for July 17th to the 23rd of 2017. All right, so as a lot of you know, this channel is for Sidereal, but if you are new to the channel, be sure to check out the link down below because the signs are different. What we're essentially looking at here is the actual size and location of the constellations, which is different from mainstream astrology. So the signs are different, and you'll definitely want to check that link out. So first things first, we're going to look at this collectively. There's a lot going on astrologically this week. I'm going to break it down throughout the days. And then after this, of course, we're going to get into the individual signs. So there's timestamps down in the comment section. After the collective reading, you can go to your signs portion of this video. And I do recommend watching this for the sun sign, moon sign, and your ascendant sign. There's a birth chart calculator down below as well if you don't know what your moon or ascendant signs are. All right, so let's have a look. As I said, a lot going on. We're actually entering into this week in the third quarter phase of the lunar cycle. So this is usually the part of the week where it is a bit more challenging, and we really do want to challenge ourselves. Now, this is, of course, a collective reading, so your personal chart is what's going to determine this the most, and perhaps even more importantly, how we work with these energies. Because even the quote-unquote challenging aspects can be worked constructively. In fact, it's times like this, generally speaking, when we actually do achieve and build and, constructively implement long-term things in our life. So it's that kind of a week, but I think the week, it's a lot of this kind of bottlenecking energy. We've got a lot of squares with Uranus. We have Mars squaring Uranus coming into the week, along with that third quarter phase, which is also a square. We'll talk about that. Then as we get into about midweek, the sun squares up to Uranus because the sun will be getting closer to Mars over there in Cancer. And then the week ends with a new moon, conjunct Mars, a very close conjunction actually in Cancer, and of course still squaring up to Uranus because it will be within that orb. So this square with Uranus is really accentuated throughout the week, at the beginning, in the middle, and at the end on Sunday with the new moon. And so I think it's got this sort of feeling of restriction or something like that. But again, we'll talk about how to break that down constructively. So with that sort of backdrop being said, obviously there's easy and supportive aspects this week, particularly with Venus and Mercury, which we'll talk about. And the third quarter phase is a good time to challenge ourselves. So coming into this week, what are some things you can do constructively? Again, patiently, long term, because when we're challenging ourselves, then we're not in a victim mode anymore. We're not reacting to our external circumstances or our external environment. We're reacting to ourselves, so to speak. We're becoming the agent of change, the willing participant to buckle down, to take the actions and the steps that we might be guided to or feel like might be taking place this week that, again, might just have that bit of restriction or whatever it is. But if we're restricting ourselves, right, being patient, disciplined, implementing what we believe is true, what we want for the long term, I think that's a great way of working with this type of energy with the week, and always generally with the third quarter phase. So as we go through this week, there is this easing up from the third quarter, and we'll start to enter into the balsamic phase, which is the ending phase of this last lunar cycle, right before the new moon on Sunday. So as we get through about the second half of the week, really good for reflection, getting some alone time, some receptive time, meditation, spirituality, really reflecting on perhaps the past few weeks or 4 weeks of this lunar cycle, and just getting in touch with our soul. In fact, that's what Cancer is all about with all this Cancerian energy. And what the new moon's really signifying is this new beginning with our soul, with a connection to our soul. Our feelings, our past, our sentiments, our intrinsic values. All of this is what is starting anew. And so as we're receptive to it, approaching it in that balsamic phase, approaching Sunday, we can certainly, as we align with that through meditation, through presence, I think that's helping the energies flow and come in and helping us align to them. And then, of course, most of the new beginnings we'll see next week. as we start to go through the new lunar cycle. All right, so let's go ahead and start this off looking at the placements. What do we got coming into this week? We still have Venus in Taurus. She's been in there for quite some time, the past 4 weeks now, I believe. And so when it comes to our values, when it comes to relationships, there's some good energy here. I think it's grounded. I think it's stable. We could be enjoying the sensual aspects of life. We could be even connecting to our resources and our resourceful side, right? Our self-reliance, this slow and steady energy of slowly building upon the things we enjoy, and even our relationships as well. They can be quite steady, quite grounded in that sense, and enjoyable luxuriously. Right? Taurus is about earth, and it's about taking things one step at a time. And so I think this is a great way to connect, whether it's with people or the things that we value in life. So that's the backdrop with Venus. Mercury, it just recently shifted into Leo last week, but he's going to be there throughout the rest of this week. And so there's this creative energy with our mind. I think when it comes to what we're thinking about, there is this perhaps passion, or there's a bit of creativity. There's a bit of this internal flame that's really getting worked up, I think, and we're learning about it. We're learning about what ignites us, right? What we're passionate about. And this is what the North Node has already been showing us this past last year and this year. You know, these surrounding years have been about us learning more about our self-expression. And so Mercury here, which is our mind, it's giving us this creative, self-expressive sort of energy to think about, to learn about, to maybe get into some creative things in our daily routine, to maybe communicate in a way that's a bit more of an expression of what we're about, right? These kinds of things. So fire there with the mind and the communication, perhaps, particularly when it comes to interest, passions, and self-expression. So that's the placements in terms of those, but here's where we get into the Cancer, right? So the Sun, right at the beginning of the week on Monday, is going to shift into Cancer. Now, this is an energy that we've already had some involvement with. We've had Mars here and Mercury here, and it's been about the past few weeks while these planets were transiting through Cancer. So with Mars here, though, this week, and still already there's been this way of us getting things done that is a bit more receptive, right? Mars is the active side of ourself. It's the side of ourself that wants to pursue things, go after things. It's about our personal needs, but he's not very well placed in Cancer. So all of this more masculine type of energy is a bit throttled right now. It's a bit either low, or it's better utilized through things like working out or spending time with family or at home perhaps, or maybe getting in good health. All these things that help root us in our bodies and in our soul, as I was saying, which is fundamentally what Cancer is about. It's the connection to our soul, which, you know, is invoked through that inner guidance and through our body and the messages and the feelings and this type of stuff in the past. So the best way of working with this Mars, because again, Mars is not well placed. He's debilitated in Cancer. He's being squared by Uranus this week. So the side of ourself that's about our personal needs and the things we want is certainly throttled, collectively speaking. Now, Mars might be well placed in your chart. Again, check your personal chart for that, and you can get a good idea of that with the individual horoscopes after this. But collectively, we all sort of feel this to a degree. So the Sun's going to be shifting into Cancer, though. And so there is this, you know, right at the beginning of the week, this now more focus on the sentiments, right? So we could be focused on reflecting on the past a bit, maybe a bit more, again, internal in nature. We could be sentimental, in fact. A lot of this watery, Cancerian soul type of energy. So by focusing on this receptive stuff, these feelings, this past, our intrinsic values, we're gaining energy. Okay, again, not that familiar to Sun's energy. Sun's a fire energy, Cancer's a water energy. But as we're focused on this emotional, watery aspect of life, that's how we're gaining energy at this time. And with Mars, that can motivate us. And again, it's a good outlet for that masculine energy of ours. All right, so that's coming into the week with the Sun shifting into Cancer. And as I said, coming into the week, Mars is squaring up to Uranus. And at the same time, Venus is squaring up to Neptune, okay, in the third quarter phase. So lots of squares. And squares are, as I was saying just a few minutes ago, they're about patience. They're a lot like Saturn. For those of you familiar with Saturn, you know, patience, limitation, one step at a time. That's what the square represents. So that's collectively kind of the general gist of the beginning of the week. But more specifically, there's this square with Uranus, which is this feeling of perhaps restriction, confinement, wanting to break through. We could be impulsive, perhaps, right? Wanting to make sudden decisions or just feeling rash and or anxious. These are just some of the things, again, your personal chart's going to determine how you experience this, but these are some of the things that are common with this kind of aspect, all right? So the best way of working with this, along with, you know, taking things one step at a time, and just being patient instead of reactionary, you know, meditation, presence, all of that can help us bring more conscious attention to the self. But a bit more constructively, you could say, is that Uranus is helping us find more freedom, but it might be in such a way that's different from what we think we want. Okay, Uranus has been in Pisces, which is the freedom of letting go and surrendering everything outside of our control. And as we've been doing this past, like, what has it been, like 8 years or something with Uranus in Pisces, there's been this importance of letting go that then leads to spiritual liberation, to that freedom that we truly seek. And so there's a conflict, you could say, or a challenge, a square between that and what we want, right? The side of ourselves that wants the freedom through letting go, through surrendering everything outside of our control, which can be liberating, but it's different from this other side of ourselves that perhaps wants to go after those things we want. And again, it could be in that way that's about the past or about home, family, health, perhaps collectively, this more emotional, receptive stuff. So the best way of working with this, as is the case with any square, is integration. How can you be have that patience with the Mars, the patience with the freedom, and at the same time see where you can liberate yourself through letting go while still taking slow steps and constructive steps towards the things you want. So there's a balance here. There's an integration between these two that might be collectively challenging to do, but as we find this middle ground between freedom on one hand and what we want on the other, then it becomes very constructive. Okay, so this is a very important energy this week, as I said, with the square up to Uranus. What I just described is almost going on all week, actually, you know, because of the continuous squares with Uranus there. But here at the beginning, particularly with that side of ourself that wants things, all right, that is pursuing our personal needs. Now, along with this, at the beginning of the week, which is a completely different type of energy, although also a square, is Venus squaring up to Neptune. Okay, this is a more involving our perhaps relationships, more involving the things we enjoy and our values in life. And with the square to Neptune, it can bring out sometimes a bit of ungroundedness with these things, okay? With relationships, our values, our enjoyments. So there could be a bit of dreaminess. Maybe it's a bit of wanting to escape through, you know, relationships, or putting someone on a pedestal, or relationships in general on a pedestal, or with escaping maybe through the enjoyments of life, or the sensual life. Okay, so usually with a square to Neptune, there is this side of ourselves that wants to just escape and liberate ourselves. So do be aware of that. There could also perhaps be a bit of uncertainty involving relationships and our values as well. So the constructive way of working with this is, again, meditation can help us become aware of this, and patience with the square. But again, we're talking about integration. And the integration point is, how can you have this peace that we all truly seek with Neptune? You know, Neptune and Uranus are actually in swap signs. Neptune is in Uranus' sign of Aquarius, and Uranus is in Neptune's sign of Pisces. So they're both, it's a very interesting dynamic that we've had for these past years. And it has to do with this same sort of thing about spiritual liberation. And so here, the liberation is through letting go of anything that is maybe about individualism with Aquarius, you know, grounding ourselves in the sense that it's important to be who we are and to enjoy freedom in our life, but again, with a receptive approach through letting go. So how can you let go of everything that is your values or your relationships to, when I say letting go, I mean of the mind, of the projections. So letting things go, matter go, so that you can be more present with your relationships and your values and your enjoyments of life, and taking it, as it comes. So that's a very good way of working with this, integrating the two things we enjoy and value, which again could be very much relating to the earthy side of things, with this more stable security aspect of things. Could have to do with resources. It's possible collectively. But the square to Neptune, right? How can we go with the flow, let go of everything outside of our control, having to do with our values and relationships? And through that, again, we are then enjoying the present moment with our values and relationships. All right, so very important there coming into the week. On a minor note, I do want to mention that Mars is trining up to Chiron. So along with this sort of bottlenecking energy, there is also this healing and rejuvenation, I think, taking place, probably to our confidence levels, probably to understanding that we can pursue the things we want in life. And so feeling a bit of that boost, a bit of that rejuvenation and healed energy with, again, that masculine side. And then what's nice is that after Venus squares Neptune, once we get into about Tuesday, it kind of shifts. And this is an energy we were familiar with the other planets when they did the same thing not too long ago, how it just kind of shifts. So into Tuesday, perhaps more of that dreamy energy or uncertainty or escaping energy with our values and relationships lifts up. And this gives us a bit of a supportive energy about perhaps a bit of buoyancy in our relationships and values, maybe seeing opportunities there. Maybe we're adventurous, and enjoying a bit of adventurism or philosophy or higher learning. Could be quite optimistic with those values as well. So it's not, it's not a major thing, but it's a nice buoyant energy. And I think there's some generally opportunities here to enjoy our relationships in our life, connecting with others in general, as well as our values and enjoyments. All right, then as we get into about Wednesday, Mercury does trine up to Saturn. So this is a good stable energy actually for things that involve that thinking and writing and communication I was talking about. Mercury's pretty well placed in Leo as well. So again, there's some good creative energy, thinking, ideas perhaps, and it's just very stable. And so anything that does involve the routine, practicality, productivity, especially involving, again, thinking and communication, and even correspondence perhaps, all of that is very stabilized midweek, which is nice because we get a bit of a break from, as you can see here, more of the squares with Uranus there around Wednesday. Then as we get into Thursday, that's when we start to feel the Sun square Uranus, trine Chiron energy, just like what Mars did earlier in the week, as the Sun now approaches Mars. And so, yeah, about this Thursday time, again, same kind of thing with that square to Uranus, except here we're talking about the Sun, which usually is more of a personal side of ourself. Okay, so this could be that maybe we have strong individualism, right? Wanting to break free in the sense of wanting to express ourselves and be who we want, right? And so it's important to be constructive, and again, watching any reactions and abruptness with that self-expression just through conscious attention. Yeah, expressing who we are in grounded ways, how we can, again, have that freedom while at the same time, express ourselves, be who we are, let go of everything outside of our control, while at the same time focus on the things that we are passionate about. And maybe even too, again, getting some of that private time, that internal time, that reflective time with the Sun in Cancer. Okay, so good there for anything constructive in terms of, yes, creating things, expressing yourself, being who you are, but in such a way that I think is grounded and disciplined, sort of taking it one step at a time. All right, yeah, so that is another very important thing this week. On a more minor note, which we don't always feel very personally is a North Node conjunction. We have Mercury conjunct the North Node around Friday. If you look at the undercurrents of your life, you may actually notice that there's something new about your life path or something you're learning about in terms of your life path. And again, this is regarding that self-expression, that creativity energy I was talking about. So there is something anew taking place, and it could be about that self-expression and what you're learning about what you're passionate about who you are. It could be certainly associated with the Sun square Uranus, where actually, after we ease up off of that more restriction with our self-expression, of that wanting to break free, maybe we learn something, right? We learn something new, and we're starting something new. And that's what the North Node's all about. It's completely different. So, you'll know it because it'll be completely different from whatever you've done in the past. So I think it's just a great day around Friday to be open to new things, open to learning, especially when it has to do with self-expression or creative things or things that you find fun in your life. And it could certainly signal something anew, especially as we get to the eclipses, which will be in August, associated with that North Node. It could be leading into that in some way. All right, and so then let's talk about this new moon, a new beginning, as I said, mostly next week. But as we approach Sunday, again, really good for that lowered energy, reflection, meditation, internal guidance, and listening to and being aware of what new is shaping up perhaps around Sunday. It's going to be on Sunday for pretty much all of us in the world, very early if you're in the far west, and later if you're in the east. But this sort of new beginning, which is about Cancer, right? So this new beginning about our intrinsic values, listening to our feelings, our soul, our inner guidance, maybe reflecting on the past and how the past actually has information. It has this sort of wisdom. Our bodies have this wisdom. And on a more external note, maybe it's good to get some privacy, right? Spend some time at home. Really good for caring for ourselves, caring for our bodies through our health, caring for others, those we're close to, our family, but our soul family as well. Could be friends and other relationships that we're, again, intimately or intrinsically connected to, right, on that soul level. And just getting into that internal feeling. So it's all going to manifest differently. We're going to look at which house this is for you personally, but collectively, there is this new beginning about the importance of listening to our feelings and listening to our inner guidance. All right, so let's go ahead and now shift. We're going to look at this for the individual signs. You can go down to the comment section, and we're going to see what the most important aspects are taking place for your signs. All right, Aries, welcome to your weekly forecast. So let's have a look at your ruler Mars, who again is forming these squares this week. I think it's very important to talk about that first as a sort of foundation. Last week you already had Mars in Cancer and in your 4th house here. So most of you are already feeling this more lowered energy, right? Maybe good for spending time with home, family, health, as I was saying in the general reading. And so that's where the motivation can be. If you can find that outlet through Cancerian things, such as through maybe working out with your health or spending time at home or with family, maybe doing active things at home or with family, putting that drive that you have, that directness you have, that action that is so important for your sign into these roots in your life, I think you're going to find that it's a great way of working with this week. Now, with that being said, of course, the square up to Uranus does suggest some sort of integration. This is very much like the general, where Uranus in your 12th house has been helping you liberate anything that, you know, it's like this feeling of freedom that you want, but sometimes we project things, right? Sometimes with Pisces and even with this Neptune energy early in the week on Monday, sometimes we, the mind sort of, runs away and we sort of lose ourselves through whatever the mind is projecting. So it's important to do things maybe like meditation, spiritual exercises coming into the week, anything that helps you be present and really let go of anything that is outside of your control, legitimately outside of your control, like pretty much the future, anything that the mind will project. And that can be very liberating. Now, of course, that's easier said than done, but that's the constructive way of working with this. You may come into the week maybe with a bit of impulsiveness, a bit of that restriction, right? But I think the key here is that 12th house. The key is the meditation. The key is perhaps the alone time, the letting go, the surrendering, whatever's outside of your control, whatever the mind might be conjuring up. So that's a great way of working with it as well. And I think that can help you relax into what is this, again, reflective time, which will be the new moon at the end of the week, a new beginning with this area. So that's the most important thing, Mars squaring up to Uranus, and then you'll likely start to feel that energy easing up as we get into about Wednesday. And then that's when we have a bit of support with Venus trine Jupiter. There could be some enjoyments to be had with the material aspects of your life, or maybe opportunities with finances, or maybe with your work. You've had Jupiter in your 6th house, very good synergy between these earth houses, your resources like finances, savings, investments, anything like that, or maybe just enjoying the simple life, as well as the day-to-day, your work environment, or if it's not your work, maybe some self-improvement can be great with Jupiter in the 6th. Anything that's getting you in good good time management, energy management, and developing your skills and crafts. And Wednesday as well, Mercury trines up to Saturn, so there is this grounded energy helping you, again, pretty much the second half, learn about your self-expression, your creative side. That's very personal for you, as I was saying in the general, but very much for your sign, with the North Node transiting here this past year and 2017 as well. But Mercury can help you learn some things here about what you find fun, playful, expressive, creative. Saturn's helping ground this energy, stabilizing it, and really good for, again, anything that involves the mind or communication midweek. And then on Thursday, the Sun squares up to Uranus. I don't think that will be as intense, let's say, or restricted or anxious, or however you feel that Mars. It won't be like the Mars stuff. It'll still be, though, probably wanting to, express yourself in this, with your individualism, express the things you're passionate about, maybe the things you're focused on, might feel a bit bottlenecked or restricted. But again, the same rules apply. Uranus in the 12th house is about letting go of what is outside of our control there. Okay, as best as you can constructively, and, work with it one step at a time, which is the square energy. And then Thursday, as we approach Sunday's new moon, we start to enter into that balsamic phase, the lowering energy of the cycle. Really good for reflection, especially with the new moon in Cancer. I mean, this is what it's fundamentally about. Reflection, internal guidance, listening, right? And so that's where the whole new beginning will be internally. But what you're going to likely notice Sunday, and especially going into next week, this whole new beginning is about your home, perhaps. Some of you might be relocating. Some of you may be starting something new around the home life. Maybe with family, something new with family on some level. And for others, or perhaps even as well, your health. Okay, so listening to what your body is telling you, and through that wisdom, doing whatever that is that the body needs or wants or sort of telling you to do. And so there could be a whole new beginning with your health, actually, and healing and things of that nature as well. And the fourth house is fundamentally anything that is about your roots. It's our bodies, right? Because the body is sort of the root or the housing of the soul. And of course, our homes, our roots, right? So if there's anything else that's like that for you, certainly a new beginning with this. Now, conjunction with your ruler does signify that there is this new beginning with you Sunday onward. All right, so a new beginning with you. And again, I think it's this new you that is perhaps more in touch with the soul. Not that you aren't already, but there's this new chapter with this, right? And so this emotional, sentimental, this whole importance of all of this, the things that our soul is connected to, and it even goes to past lives and stuff. And so connecting to this new side of you, I think is fantastic. And again, just being open, because the new moon is a receptive time. It's great for setting intentions by all means, especially if they're intentions having to do with the fourth house. But be flexible, be adaptive, try some new things, and you'll find that that'll help you align with whatever these new beginnings are, because we often don't know specifically what the new beginnings are, at least on a life path or soul level. And of course, because the new moon is going to be squaring up to Uranus, with that conjunction with your ruler, it's still emphasizing what I talked about earlier, about this new beginning, about surrendering what's outside of your control, having a bit of patience, responding versus reacting with that Uranus, maybe finding healthy ways of relaxing, of meditating and all this, if you're feeling any of that anxious energy that Uranus can provide, that sort of thing. But again, it's Uranus helping you find freedom through surrender, and how you can integrate that with this new beginning with your roots, with yourself, with the things that are important to you on that emotional and receptive level. All right, so Aries, I hope you have a fantastic week. Thank you again for all of your likes, comments, and shares with these videos. If you'd like a personal reading, there's a link down in the comment section for that. Wishing you the very best week, and I will see you all very soon for the new moon report, which I'll get into here in more detail, regarding the stuff I just talked about. All right, so have a great week, Aries. Take care. All right, Taurus, welcome to your weekly forecast. So let's look at your ruler, Venus, who is forming a square coming into the week, square up to Neptune, but then she trines up to Jupiter. But she is in a good placement, of course. This is your ruler in your sign, so she's in dignity here. So generally, as it has been, I think a good time for your independence, a good time for enjoying some of the sensual things, and the things you value in life. Maybe it's emphasizing some relationships at this time for some of you. And I think also, too, fundamentally, your work or your routine You know, the stuff you do on a daily level could be accentuated as well, or maybe even self-improvement, personal development, things like that. So the square up to Neptune coming into the week does emphasize that there could be some of that dreamy energy or uncertainty, or again, wanting to escape. And I think this might be involving your career. Neptune's been in your 10th house, helping you let go of all the projections regarding your career so you can enjoy the present moment with that. Now, of course, that's easier said than done, but that's the kind of energy that's involved here. Is what can you do to enjoy the present moment with your career? Let go of anything that the mind might be anxious about or fearful about, as the mind naturally does. You know, these are the natural inclinations of the mind to be, you know, fearful and wanting to project in order to figure things out and understand things. But the square to Neptune is always great for, or at least it's a reminder to let go. Let go of the mind, let go of the projections, let go of everything that's outside of our control so we can start to focus on what is. Now, it's not so much an active energy, though. Neptune is a receptive energy, so it's not so much like actively getting involved in your career as much as it's about surrendering and then feeling in the present moment what really inspires you about your career, what you really enjoy, what feeds your soul. And then what will naturally arrive will be some sort of action, you know, towards constructively implementing this, you know, your career. And if it's not career, anything you do productively, achievement, success, and public life, if it's any of those other things for you. But that's the 10th house there in the square there. So I think this is important. It's involving your ruler coming into the week. It's involving surrendering, letting go, maybe involving the career, productive stuff. But it's your ruler, so it could just be with you in general and of life and maybe of your work and routine, actually. And so as you maybe do some constructive things at the beginning of the week, like meditation, you know, it's great to meditate every day, actually, but maybe spend some extra time meditating on Monday. Maybe get some R&R, healthy alone time, and recharging time if that's what's needed for you. Whatever helps you really connect to the present moment and be. Right? So with that, I think you'll start to probably quite quickly on Tuesday ease up on that, because then your ruler trines up to Jupiter on Tuesday. So then, you know, it's a blend, but I think, you know, Tuesday it could be a really good day for feeling a bit inspired. Maybe it's about some of the stuff that you find fun, hobbies, interests, creative energy, anything or anyone that's close to your heart, actually. So have a bit of fun. I think it's a great time to do that around Tuesday. Expand your horizons. There could be some opportunities maybe there for self-expression and all that kind of stuff, having fun. So yeah, it's supportive. I think it's giving you a bit of buoyancy. It's also giving you a larger perspective on things, which can really come in handy with this week, actually. All right, and then around the same time, you know, earlier in the week, not major for your sign, but the Mars squaring up to Uranus does again suggest that bit of restriction or wanting to break free. It might have to do with your aspirations, or maybe it has to do with a sense of community. Some of you might be, you know, wanting some sort of freedom with your friends, or wanting more freedom with your social life or something like that, or maybe, you know, wanting to cultivate your future aspirations, but then there's just something that we're not seeing about it. There's a clash, there's a restriction there. So again, you know, still continue to develop your aspirations right now and develop this freedom with your social circles and networking, friends, this type of thing. Freedom is important there, but with balance and moderation. Be patient with that area this early, actually pretty much all week. And put this energy into what could be right now really good for writing, journaling, maybe just really getting in touch with your mind. Understanding how we think about things really does determine our reality in many ways. You know, if we're thinking negatively or you know, restrictively, it limits. It really does. It changes our mind. It changes our perspective, and then limits our physical world in that way, and shapes the physical world in that way. So yeah, learning about your mind, how your mind works, or maybe some of you are just doing some learning right now through some reading, writing, communication. All this stuff is being emphasized. Some of you maybe in you beginning with your peers or your siblings, actually. which will be the new moon on Sunday, you know, involving these things. But yeah, that's what's getting activated, and I think it's really good to take all that stuff, again, one step at a time with Mars, but that's where the motivation can be. That's where the focus will be as the sun shifts into your third house right at the beginning of the week. And then there's that stabilizing energy on Wednesday with Mercury trining up to Saturn, which will be collectively great for learning, reading, writing. And I think what you could be learning a lot about is maybe your past. You know, this is Mercury in your fourth house. Maybe some of you are doing some work around the home, learning about all of this sort of stuff I was talking about Cancer, because Mercury's in your fourth house, which is a lot like the same thing. So learning about home, family, or your health right now, right? And reflecting on the past and the information the past provides. But anyways, good supportive energy with the mind and communicative stuff. Thursday, the sun does square up to Uranus again. So again, same sort of thing there. How can you be patient with those aspirations and social things, as well as at the same time be patient towards, you know, and still focus on working on this mental or mind and communication, which is what this, again, new beginning is really about. So on Sunday, that's the new moon, the new beginning in your third house of mind and communication, peers, siblings, practical stuff, rationality, anything that involves that rational mind, like writing, for example. And so set some intentions with that, but listen, there's certainly something new arising, and I think you'll find that unfolding in the coming weeks. Now, again, that new moon is going to be conjunct Mars, so it's about, you know, how you can use this motivation here in balanced and healthy ways, and then the square up to Uranus as well with the new moon. Again, emphasizing this patience with the integration about what you might find you want freedom with, involving either their future hopes and wishes or your network circles, which you can have. It's all being integrated, it's all being, you know, grounded, but it's at this phase of the cycle where it may require some extra patience or challenging ourselves to maybe develop those key areas. All right, so Taurus, have a fantastic week. Thank you again for all of your supports with this channel. If you'd like a personal reading, there's a link down in the comment section for that. Wishing you all the very best week, and I will see you all very soon for the new moon report, going into this whole new moon I just talked about in detail. All right, Taurus, take care. All right, Gemini, welcome to your weekly forecast. So your ruler Mercury is actually kind of avoiding all of this more challenging stuff we've got collectively, which, you know, obviously we're still going to experience a lot of the same stuff generally. But yeah, your ruler is in good house placement, good sign placement, and being trined up by Saturn midweek. So generally as a backdrop, I think right now is just fantastic for learning or maybe doing some writing. Okay, your ruler's in the third house. Really good time for practical stuff. Maybe you're picking up a book, taking a course. Some of you might be doing some writing, maybe some blogging, maybe writing a book, maybe doing some journaling. All of this is fantastic at this time. Lots to learn. And I think what we're really learning about here with Mercury in the third is this, how our mind works, right? And the importance of what we think and how we think about things. You know, the thoughts that we accept, that our conscious mind accepts and entertains and sees as a truth, really does determine our reality. So if we're thinking negatively, if we're thinking limitedly, you know, this is some things we can change, some habits we can change actually, in order to, yes, have a more balanced life and to pursue the things we want in life and have enjoyment. So the mind is so crucial to all of this and so important to our well-being. And I think there's just so much to learn about. So however you're learning about mind, how your mind works, thinking, thoughts, all of that is just great. And again, channeling this into maybe some writing and journaling and things like that can be great. So that's the backdrop with your ruler. Mercury trining Saturn midweek on Wednesday. There is the support energy with Saturn helping ground you. You're probably feeling quite stable Wednesday and disciplined. You're seeing the big picture, seeing the long term. I think a lot of it has to do with the hard work you've been putting into your routine or your work these past couple years. So great, continue to do that. You're probably maybe redoing some things with your work or with your routine. That's fine. You're learning about it, but still, you know, very good for that patience and discipline with the day to day. And I think it'll just come easy to you, generally speaking and collectively speaking, in that regard. Now let's talk about the challenging stuff. So coming into the week, you have the sun leaving your sign, going into your second house. So the new moon at the end of the week will be involving your resources, your finances, your investments, or savings. These are some of the things associated with the second. And fundamentally for everyone, it's your sense of self-worth, your self-reliance, right? Standing on your own 2 feet to create a life that's comfortable and secure and enjoyable, particularly on that material level. So I think that's where your focus is shifting this week. Mars has already been there, so you got the motivation and drive with these things. But on Monday, Mars squaring up to Uranus does suggest maybe some patience with some of this. Maybe you're feeling restricted with it. Maybe it's involving your career in some way. You know, Uranus has been in your 10th house these past 8+ years, which has been about you needing, I think, freedom with your career, having more autonomy, more individualism, you know, more freedom, more space, time, energy, however you see that, however it's been manifesting for you. And so it's a challenge in that, you know, we may just feel like on one hand, we want this freedom with the career and productive life. And then on the other hand, we feel like there's this, this financial material thing. And so it's about patience with both, integrating both. It's obviously easier said than done. So just be patient with yourself throughout this process. But yes, how can you use this positive motivation into your resources while being patient with it? And vice versa. How can you continue to have freedom in your career, in your productive life, but be patient with that as well? And I think you'll find that is a good integration coming into the week. Venus does square up to Neptune on Monday and then trines up to Jupiter. Venus is actually in good house placement for you in your 12th. You could be enjoying spending some alone time. You could be enjoying meditation. You could be enjoying rest and relaxation at this time, which is great. I think it'll be another good week for that. But maybe on Monday, there's just a bit of uncertainty. Maybe it's about matters relating to philosophy or travel or higher learning. But again, as I was saying, in the general, it's really good to surrender everything outside of your control, maybe having to do with that stuff, 9th house stuff, expansion, philosophy, how we think about things from a bigger perspective. So letting go of the life path, essentially, right? And as best as you can. And I think you're going to find that does integrate with your peace and helps you relax and find more of that. What is an enjoyable time with the spiritual dynamics of things. Now, with that being said, Venus trining up to Jupiter on Tuesday, you know, so after that square, kind of lifts things up there. And I think, again, you'll see some opportunities with that more spiritual dynamic and peace in your life. And even, too, with maybe home, family, or health, actually. Could be on Tuesday, maybe something positive there, a bit of expansion, or at least optimism involving those roots. All right, and then, yeah, Wednesday is a good grounded energy with Saturn. Then Thursday, Sun squares up to Uranus, a lot like what I talked about, again, you know, what I talked about earlier, again here. So, yeah, the career stuff, freedom is important, but with patience. And I think focusing on your resources, focusing on your finances, whatever that is, what you value in life, being grateful for what you have in life. All of that will be invigorating for you and help you integrate those two areas. Now, your ruler is going to go over the North Node on Friday, so there might be this learning you're doing about your life path and maybe even this new you in many ways. Again, the North Node's more of an undercurrent. We don't really feel it that personally, but if you're aware, you may notice that there is this whole new shift, and it could be about learning, right? It could be about all this practical stuff we're talking about, reading, communication, maybe your mind, and this new you with how you think and how you communicate or share information or receive information, what you're learning about. And so it's about your life path. It could even be signaling something that could be new in August when we have the eclipses. So yeah, good information there, or just a new shift to your life journey. And I think it's about understanding. Then Sunday is the new moon, new beginnings with the material, financial, resourceful stuff. It's going to unfold through the coming weeks, so give it time. So Sunday, just listen, see what's coming in. Again, it'll still be conjunct Mars and square up to Uranus. So it's how to use this motivation and drive. And, you know, Mars, it's about self-willed energy. It's about, you know, actually taking the action steps. So some new beginning with that. Could even be a new beginning with your routine, actually, and even quite possibly maybe your community. Maybe it's your future aspirations. These are all things Mars rules for you, future hopes and wishes, new beginning there, maybe involving the financial material. But then, yeah, again, this patience, this step back. If there's any of this rash, impulsive, anxious, wanting to break free energy that is manifesting here in your 10th house of career. It's about finding the healthy expressions of freedom and, again, letting go of what isn't in your control involving that. All right, Gemini, so have a fantastic week. Thank you again for all of your support. If you'd like a personal reading, there is a link down in the comment section for that. And I'll see you very soon for the new moon forecast here in probably about a week or a few days, depending on when you're watching this. All right, have a good week, Gemini. Take care. Cancer, welcome to your weekly forecast. So let's have a look at your sign, because you've got a lot of energy here. You've had Mars in your house, your first house, and now you're going to have the sun shifting into your first. So coming out of the 12th, I think that's going to be a shift, right? Coming into this week, you're probably going to notice maybe not so much behind the scenes energy. You know, the sun in the 12th house for these past few weeks at least, and even before then, because we had Mercury there, Mars there. A lot of emphasis there about, you know, your deep psychology, your unconscious mind, and you've likely just gotten more in touch with that side of yourself. There's nothing really that tangible, although there sometimes is for you with Gemini, who's associated with your 12th, but it's not really tangible as much as it's just, you know, reestablishing that connection with our spiritual beingness and surrendering and letting go of things or aspects, deep aspects of self or whatever it is. So anyways, you're now coming into a much more clear part of the chart, your first house. Happy birthday, actually. Some of you who are watching for your sun sign are going to have your birthdays this week. But yeah, this whole new beginning for all of you, sun, moon, and ascendant signs. We have the new moon on Sunday at the end of the week, which will be this new beginning with you, your independence in life, your personal needs, your goals. Really good time for setting intentions for the year, right? All the stuff that you are focused on and your goals and things like that. So it's still early this week, but I think it's laying the framework. I think whatever it is that you're going to start to focus on Monday onward, having to do with yourself, your independence, that sort of thing, is laying the framework for the new beginnings around the corner. Mars squaring up to Uranus, right? Venus squaring up to Neptune. So coming into the week, there's some challenging things. It is coming from your first house. So as I was saying, I think right now you do have the directness or the drive, maybe even energy as well with Mars in your sign. But be patient, right? As I was saying, in the general, square up to Uranus. And that might be with things having to do with philosophy or higher learning or travel or matters abroad, or even your life path just generally with the ninth house, that spirit for life. Uranus has been helping you find, this freedom through your adventurous side and expanding your horizons, either mentally or physically. But in the square, it's this part of the cycle where it's about patience. And so one step at a time, right? Anything there that's we're feeling rash about, impulsive about, or whatever, good to bring that extra attention there and just see how you can continue to have freedom with your life path, with that spirit for life, while at the same time integrate that with whatever these new beginnings are, whatever you're starting to focus on involving yourself, right? So then the Venus, not a major thing for you, but Venus squaring up to Neptune coming into the week, maybe some dreaminess about or uncertainty perhaps about your aspirations or the future in some way, maybe about home life, okay, or your family or health perhaps for some of you. So letting go of what is outside of your control. Again, surrender. Things for all of us collectively like meditation and all this are excellent coming into the week. But then again, I feel like you've already had a lot of that, again, internal beingness. So just maybe sort of bringing into this week that beingness that has been integrated with you these past few weeks can help balance out this energy, help you bring more conscious attention to the now moment and to the self. And a lot of it, again, is about surrendering what is outside of our control. All right, but then on Tuesday, that Venus then trines up to Jupiter, and there is some support here with learning. I think there's a lot of opportunities here for reading, writing, communication, as there has been the past 9 months. Jupiter here is expanding this area, and it's giving some positive support back into the 11th of these future things. So you might then start to shift and see there's this top-down perspective you have about your future, maybe feeling a bit aspired. Maybe you feel like there's some opportunities with friends or community, things like that, and maybe even that home stuff. So it was more maybe challenging coming into the week, sort of lifts up pretty quickly actually on Tuesday there. Wednesday, we got Mercury trining up to Saturn. There's some grounded energy. I think it's another great week, as was the case last week, for learning about finances or resources, your material life, maybe investments, and fundamentally your self-reliance or your inner resources and your inner sense of self-worth, that you can pursue the things you value in life. So it's a lot to learn about material stuff and your inner resources as well. So great week for that. There's grounded energy. Mercury's going to go over the North Node on Friday, suggesting that it's already been the kind of life path, this sort of undercurrent of last year and this year being about you developing your resources. So Mercury's helping you learn about this. It's stabilizing, it's grounding it, and giving some good positive energy into that area. That Thursday, of course, the sun is going to be squaring up to Uranus. So again, just like I was saying earlier, this importance of integration, of balance, listening to freedom of your life path, but at the same time being true to whatever it is that you're starting to cultivate with these new beginnings. Usually we feel this more personally, especially when it's in the first house. I think a lot of your concentration and focus will be on self and independence. And so how can you, let go of everything involving the life path of the future that on some level might be creating a bit of that impulsiveness or wanting to break free or whatever it is. All right, and then Sunday is the new moon. This is always very important for your sign because, of course, you're ruled by the moon. So, approaching Sunday, second half of the week, really good for just listening, right? I think even though you get all this first house energy, we're going to be at the ending phase of this cycle, a lot like that 12th house, which is the ending of the chart. And so, yes, meditation, alone time, reflection, things like that, just listening to whatever these new beginnings are. Because as I said, it's significant. It's in your sign. Sunday onward could be this new shift with you and what you want in life. But again, it's with this patience. This new moon is going to be conjunct the Mars, square Uranus aspect. And so all that stuff I talked about, I think it's sort of what this whole cycle is about integrating this patience and this importance of freedom without reaction, and taking steps towards the things we want in life with that patience as well. All right, so Cancers, have a fantastic week. Thank you again for all of your likes, comments, and shares with these videos. Hope you found this video helpful. There's a link down in the comment section if you'd like a personal reading looking at the year ahead. And I'll see you all very soon for the new moon report. Take care. Leo, welcome to your weekly forecast. So your ruler, the sun's going into your 12th house right at the beginning of the week on Monday. That's where you're going to have the new moon at the end of the week. That's where Mars has already been. So lots of concentration here on the 12th house. 12th house is the house of spirituality, as I generally call it. But that's kind of the result. It's also the house of our deep psyche, of connecting to our core and our beingness, but through that maybe getting some alone time, maybe getting some more rest and relaxation in our life. All of this stuff that's more about getting into the receptive side of ourselves and letting go of everything that's outside of our control in order to find that peace and that inner stillness is great. But I think a very good constructive way of working with the 12th is anything that's a spiritual activity, maybe doing things to help you have more peace in your life, and learning more about yourself psychologically or on a soul level, on a spiritual level. Now, it's conscious, but it's not mental. It's more like it's just illuminating this area, and you're likely going to notice that Monday onwards, this illumination of your unconscious, of your spiritual beingness, and through that insight, helping you connect to it, accept it. 12th house is the house of acceptance. And I think that is what is being integrated throughout this time. And it's this time of the year, you're going to have your new moon next month. And so before we get into all the new beginnings and stuff, it is important to get that R&R, recharge, and also, again, connect to what matters most in life and the spiritual dimensions of life. All right, but there's good motivation drive here. I mean, Mars in the 12th house, even though the 12th house is a very spiritual area, it could be through physical exercise or activity or things like yoga or Tai Chi or something like that works it's active, but at the same time is a form of meditation. That could be great at this time. Those types of things. And it's really good, again, for diving deep with the self. Mars likes to uncover things and probe deep with things and figure things out that help it be brought to the surface, especially in the 12th. So again, it's all these maybe some past patterns, some fears, some things that you're releasing that is deep rooted in the self, as we all have, and that conscious energy can certainly help you do that. So anyways, that's the concentration there. There is some patience needed this week with Mars squaring up to Uranus coming into the week, and then of course Thursday when your sun squares up to Uranus. So first of all, on Monday, I think it's good to just see that there is this change that's occurring with you on this deep level. Okay, there are these fears and patterns and things that are breaking. I mean, it's very liberating actually for you, Leo. You've got Uranus in your 8th house for the past 8+ years. And this has been liberation through breaking of patterns and accepting fears, right? Because when we accept fears, we liberate ourselves. This kind of thing. So there might be some challenges with this. It might be about uncertainty. It might be about psychology. It might be about intimacy for some of you, actually, with the 8th house. Intimacy with yourself and life, but also maybe relationships because of this deep stuff. So it's very deep. And I think through a willingness to get deep, but in this constructive way, right? With patience and understanding this is all part of this cycle. It's a very watery time for you. I think you'll find that it becomes very constructive. And anything you can do to challenge yourself, actually, that is, again, meditative or constructive with your spiritual self and psychologically and breaking of patterns and openness and all that kind of stuff that's constructive is just fantastic. I think that's going to help you align with this and help this energy flow. So you're the agent of change. Now, there's obviously supportive things going on this week. We have Venus trining up to Jupiter on Tuesday. So even though on Monday she is going to be squaring up to Neptune, I think it's great to be enjoying your work or your career or achievement and success right now. Some of you maybe even forming some relationships through your career at this time, or you're seeing the value in what you enjoy in your career. But maybe there's some uncertainty about relationships or that in some way, probably about letting go of what you've been already letting go of, which is relationship projections. All right, Neptune in the 7th house. The mind sort of either idealizes relationships or doesn't understand that sphere in some way. And it's the mind, though. So as you surrender and let that go, it can free you up. And that could support you. It supports your career as well. And even your relationships, obviously, as you're more present with them. But then Venus does trine up to Jupiter. And so this lifts up that energy on Tuesday, which is really opportunities for you to increase your sense of self-worth, maybe increase your material security, investment savings. That's where the positive energy is all year long, pretty much, with Jupiter in your 2nd. And that could be supporting whatever this enjoyment with career is. And even what you could be learning about could be supporting that as well. Wednesday, Mercury trines Saturn, so there is stability. Mercury's in your sign, so it could be really emphasizing things like reading. Really great time to be learning when Mercury's in the 1st house. Really great time to be writing. Some of you might be deciding to do some journaling or some blogging or something. Writing a book, maybe. This is really, emphasized. And so Mercury is also very well supported, being trined by Saturn. There's a grounded energy to this. It's constructive. It's also supporting you financially because Mercury is your 2nd house ruler. Of course, your personal chart's going to determine that more specifically, but collectively, generally, there's support there. Also some support with community and your future aspirations. So that's where the strength is, I think, specifically midweek. And then on Thursday, there is this will probably be the most, again, collectively challenging. Your personal chart and how you respond to this energy and work with this energy is going to determine whether it's hard or not. Challenging, I don't really mean it in the sense of, suffering by any means. It's just we want to challenge ourselves. So midweek, Thursday, good for that. Again, it's involving same stuff I talked about with Mars, the sun in the 12th house, this deep time of maybe it's not a deep time. Maybe it is a time of you finding that spiritual peace and liberation. And again, anything constructive there is fantastic. But at the same time, break some patterns, face some fears, accept some things. It might be challenging to do that. It's always challenging to do that. But in this square, challenge yourself to do that. And I think you'll find this very liberating week, actually, probably as you go into the weekend, feeling a lift up off of that. But then we have a new moon on Sunday, suggesting this whole new beginning about your spiritual self and you. Every time we have a new moon, it's a new you because it involves your ruler, the sun. But this is a new spiritual you, an accepting you, a surrendering, a meditative, a present you. And it's going to take time, right? With the square up to Uranus, it's important to be patient with all this because there's still that deep stuff or the vulnerability, or maybe some of you this is involving others' resources or finances or debts or something like that. Being patient with that stuff. But it's a new beginning here fundamentally with your spiritual well-being. And even too with your home for some of you, maybe even too with your adventurous side, travel, expansion, things like that. It's quite possible with Mars conjunct the new moon. But sit with it, see what comes in. Life is taking you in a new direction here. I think it's fundamentally about this spiritual well-being. All right, so Leo, have a fantastic week. Thank you for all of your likes, comments, and shares with these videos. There's a link down in the comment section if you'd like a personal reading. Wishing you all the very best, and I'll see you next week for the New Moon Report. Take care. Virgo, welcome to your weekly forecast. So let's have a look at your ruler Mercury, who's actually well placed in terms of aspect this week, trining up to Saturn and somewhat trining up to Uranus in this grand trine. We got sort of an orb. But he's in your 12th house, and this is the house, you know, it's a house where there's great benefit when working with it constructively. But it's also the house of uncertainty. So there's a lot of this behind the scenes energy. A lot of you may find that, yeah, maybe there's some uncertainty. We're not seeing things very clearly. You know, your ruler Mercury and really who you are in many ways, it's about, you know, using your mind to figure things out, to analyze things, to improve things, etc. But when he's in the 12th, it is more about surrendering the mind, letting go of what, you know, what the mind thinks. At least, you know, so that we can be more present and think more presently. So anything that does involve meditation, spiritual activities, alone time, psychology, all of this I think is great at this time. I think you have a lot of positive support to do that. That's why I don't think it's going to be that challenging for you. In fact, around Wednesday, you have a lot of constructive energy with Saturn trining your ruler. Probably feeling quite grounded. Maybe like you are willing to, you know, put in the work, so to speak, into developing more peace in your life. And that's what it's really about. You know, Mercury in the 12th, doing the work, maybe with the routine or whatever, through things like scheduling meditation time or alone time or more rest or more sleep. You know, these are things that can really help you get in touch with your soul and that inner beingness. Now, there might be some uncertainty with the career stuff. Mercury also does rule your 10th house of career. But again, it's about surrender. It's about peace and how you can bring in some of that peace into your career life and maybe even do things like philanthropy, giving, contributing, stuff that's more selfless, so to speak. In the career is usually fantastic when the ruler of the 10th is in the 12th. Now, Mercury is going to go over the North Node on Friday. So after that trine from Saturn on Wednesday, Friday, we get this bit of new beginning in the sense that, you know, it's already been this theme last year and this year about peace. You may have noticed, especially with the eclipses. The last ones were February. And there's been this shift about you finding more peace. And there's a lot to learn about this. And so Friday, there could be this whole new shift, a whole new you, actually, when the ruler goes over the North Node in terms of the life path. And it's an undercurrent. We don't feel very personally, but if you pay attention, if you kind of become aware of it from this perspective, you may notice that there's something you're learning or there's this new direction you're going in that is leading you towards what is, I think, the most important house in the entire chart, the 12th, of true happiness. You know, Leo is about happiness as well. It's about fun. It's about creativity. It's about, you know, when we're really accepting there's this joy that arises, right? This joy of life. And Leo is very much about life giving and that kind of thing. And the 12th is connecting to that on the essential level. So anyways, however you're experiencing this, I think the fundamental is this new shift with peace, essentially acceptance, surrender, and the tranquility that arises from that. So now let's talk about some of the other things we've got. There's those challenging aspects collectively, right? Monday, Mars squares up to Uranus in your 7th. Maybe it's involving relationships for you. Uranus has been helping you find more freedom in your relationships. So remembering that perhaps this week with all these squares to Uranus in your 7th. Freedom in relationships is not always easy, right? But whatever you can do constructively and patiently involving that, I think is great. There's a lot of concentration on your 11th house of your aspirations. I think that's what's really the focus coming into the week with the sun shifting into your 11th. Anything that's future oriented, your hopes and wishes for the future, really good motivation, drive, focus here. Some of you, maybe it's more social. Some of you are maybe deciding to spend some time with friends or your network circles. And so whatever this stuff larger than ourself is, or the future stuff here, or group stuff, great place to focus, great place to put your energy and motivation, but again with patience, because Mars squaring Uranus on Monday, and then on Thursday the sun squares Uranus from that placement. And so it is suggesting that there's new beginnings. On Sunday there's a new moon here, and there's new foundations being laid with the sun entering into Cancer now this week, but something here needing to be integrated with those relationships and vice versa. Okay, so patience with both relationships, the aspirations or social stuff, how you can integrate the two, right? We obviously can't have good group, network, connecting to a group or friends or anything if we don't have good one-to-one personal relationships, and here with the freedom in them. And we can't have good aspirations, right? We can't attain our goals in life if we don't have healthy relationships in our life, and vice versa. In order to have healthy relationships, we do need this. We do need to aspire. We do need to have future things and collective things, and again, want to give and contribute to something larger than ourselves, or be a part of something larger than ourselves. So it's that kind of thing. It's an ongoing theme throughout the week with all the squares, but then by the week's end, a whole new beginning, I think. And you'll notice this probably more so next week about your aspirations. Some of you may be starting something new about seeing some value, how you can give to something larger than yourself that really invokes the soul. Maybe it's about the value you derive from your career and your productive life. Maybe some of you, it's a new beginning with income from your career, in fact. And then others on a more social level, new beginning with your network circles, friends, things of that nature. All right, and it's even deep too. Mars is there. Mars rules your 8th house. There's this depth with it. It's about openness, vulnerability there. It's also about communication there with those things. It could be a whole new beginning on Sunday about communication, how you think about things. All right, but fundamentally it is about the future stuff and your social circles, if it's more extroverted like that for you. All right, so there is the new moon in terms of everything. Now, obviously, there is some supportive aspects this week, like Tuesday, Wednesday. Like Wednesday, as I was saying, your ruler's trine by Saturn, giving you that stability. Even Tuesday, we have Venus trining up to Jupiter. Jupiter's been in your 1st house. In fact, around Tuesday, you may find that there's some more opportunities for independence, right? Expanding your horizons, freedom, liberation, that sort of thing. And you could also be enjoying a bit of adventurousness in your life, or higher learning, philosophy, wisdom, maybe travel, adventure, or just your life path. That's where the enjoyment is right now with Venus. There's a square with Neptune at the beginning of the week with that Venus on that Monday with those squares. So I don't think it's a major thing for you, but anything you can let go of, maybe involving the work or routine on a daily level that is outside of your control, can help free you up, liberate you to then continue to pursue this more expansive energy, especially when Jupiter's in the 1st house. A lot of you, maybe over the past 9 months, have been finding a bit more of this expansive side, right? Adventure, travel, life path, that spirit for life. Maybe just learning, wisdom. Maybe it's spiritual, actually. Jupiter can give spiritual wisdom, but it's also the natural ruler of the 12th, about spirituality, all that same kind of stuff. All right, so that's the week in a nutshell, Virgo. The week's end is a new moon, so listen, see what new is shaping up. It's involving your aspirations and or your social circles. And so being receptive to that and seeing how it unfolds next week can be fantastic. All right, Virgo, so have a fantastic week. Thank you for watching. If you like a personal reading, there's a link down in the comment section looking at the year ahead. But wishing you all the very best, and I'll see you very soon for the new moon forecast. Take care. Libra, welcome to your weekly forecast. So let's look at your ruler Venus, who's in your 8th house, the house of transformation. Now she's well placed here in terms of the sign of Taurus. But the 8th house is a deep house. You know, I think there's this undercurrent, this theme, maybe these past few weeks with your ruler here, having to do with intimacy, openness, particularly with ourself, right? Diving deep, seeing if there's any patterns we have in life that we always do have patterns, but being aware of the patterns we have that we can break, right? Through accepting of fear, through the acceptance of fear, then making the changes we want to see and breaking the patterns to do that. It's also the house of intimacy and relationships as well, especially because Venus is also a natural ruler of the 7th of relationships. And so there could be that theme going on, because as you're getting more open and vulnerable with life and yourself, that could certainly be transpiring through relationships. It's also the house of shared resources, so there could be a theme relating to those things, as well as debts or things we're in bondage to. Really good for working with, learning more about that, let's just say generally, and working with it in constructive ways. So with that backdrop being said, your ruler is going to be squaring up to Neptune coming into the week. So there might be some haze, might be some uncertainty, some doubt, maybe wanting to escape. Maybe the things you're uncertain about might have to do with your passions or your self-expression, or anything or anyone that's close to your heart. Anything you've created perhaps, or anyone that you're passionate about, maybe romance or something. 5th house, right? But whatever it is that's close to the heart, there might be some uncertainty about, or maybe there's just an escape about. Maybe there's a lot of illusions about it, or putting things on pedestals or something. So do you want to be aware of that? Be as grounded and constructive as you can on Monday. Be as clear as you can in general. When the ruler is squared by Neptune, it can again create a bit of a we're not seeing things very clearly. But whatever it is, it lifts up very quickly actually, and doing things maybe on Monday that are meditative, constructive, that are spiritual could be a great way of working with it. But on Tuesday, that Venus then trines up to Jupiter, which really does emphasize the spiritual dynamics, right? You've had Jupiter in your 12th for about the past 9 months, which has been helping you see the opportunities with getting your alone time, your meditative time, things like that. So there's a lot of support for this, an opportunity there, maybe some wisdom you're gaining actually spiritually, in fact. And that's very much supporting what is this transformation that's still occurring with you with your ruler in the 8th. Now soon, I think in a couple weeks, or maybe in about a week, a couple weeks, Venus is going to leave your 8th, go over that cusp, that 9th house cusp, which is usually very transformational. So there's still some inner work here. All right, allow yourself the space and the time to do that, because certainly transformations are happening, but a shift is certainly around the corner there. So let's talk about some of these other things we've got. Again, Monday coming into the week with your ruler squaring Neptune, that uncertainty, letting go, surrendering, spiritual activities are great. Mars does square up to Uranus, so there might be wanting to break free with some of the things involving your routine or your work, or any problems or anything that you've been working on. So patience with that, as I was saying in the general, very important. And see how you can have healthy freedom here, constructive freedom with whatever this day-to-day freedom is that is trying to come through. Now, the pinnacle and the emphasis about this week is on your career, your productive life. All right, you're going to have the sun shifting into your 10th house. You've already had Mars here. Your energy levels should be quite good, collectively speaking. There's really good motivation and drive to be put into your productive life. And so be patient with that, because again, the square up to Uranus. But this is the great place of focus where you can be gaining your energy, gaining your motivation there. And then on Thursday, the sun squares Uranus as well. So this continuous square with Uranus, just about the patience, but taking it one step at a time, because the new beginnings are around the corner involving your career here, or anything productive, achievement, success, etc. On Sunday, the new moon, new beginnings with this area. Also maybe a new beginning with relationships, actually. Mars rules your 7th house. I think there's been some connection with either meeting others through your career, or Maybe some of you are working with your relationships on productive things, something like that perhaps. So maybe it's involving that, or if not yet, something new with relationships and career, generally. And also finances as well, material security. Some of you might be getting some new value from your career, right? Maybe it's not resources like finances, but some value, seeing the value. A lot of you are seeing the value of your career at this time, actually. And you got Mercury, who's being trined by Saturn midweek in your 11th. This is the house of value from career. So your mind is here, right? So really good for learning about what you value in your career, learning about how you can derive maybe some more income from your career, or what you really enjoy in your career, and expounding upon that. And even networking, perhaps, connecting with friends. There's a lot to learn about friends, network circles. The North Node's already been here past last year and this year. And so maybe on Friday, in fact, there's this new perspective shift about future and groups and networks and that kind of thing, all of what you're learning about. So generally, just great area to learn about. The future, aspirations, and value from your career. And your and groups as well, social circles. All right, and then the weekends, Sunday with the new moon in the 10th, conjunct Mars, your 7th house ruler of relationships, your 2nd house ruler of finances, material security. The financial stuff's taking time. You got Saturn in your 2nd. Be patient with that. But yeah, it's all fundamentally in the area of your career, productive future stuff. So plant some new seeds. It's great. Listen, be flexible, see what new is shaping up there. Again, it's squaring up to Uranus, so be patient with anything involving what you may feel like breaking free from, or if there's anything you can do to challenge yourself to have more freedom in your work or day to day. Maybe it's a good new intention to set with that. But listen to your inner guidance. All right, Libra, so have a fantastic week. Thank you for all of your support. If you'd like a personal reading, there's a link down in the comment section looking at the year ahead for you. And I'm wishing you all the very best, and I'll see you for the new moon forecast. Take care. Scorpio and Ophiuchus, welcome to your weekly forecast. So your ruler is forming quite a few aspects. Well, let's just say some important aspects rather. Not so much the quantity actually, but certainly the quality, so to speak, because he is your ruler, squaring up to Uranus coming into this week. And so on Monday, there might be, as I was saying in the general, but maybe specifically for your sign, and this is still collective for all your signs, so your personal chart's going to determine this the most, and how you respond to this. But yeah, there might be a feeling of restriction. There might be some confinements, impulsive energy, maybe anxiety, wanting to break through, break free. And this could have to do with your self-expression or anything that you're passionate about or that you've created in your life. So this whole area of self-expression is where Uranus has been. It's already been for the past 8 years. Very important for you to express yourself, to have fun, enjoy, right, create. And that can be very liberating. But now in the square, it's this part of the cycle that could be challenging with that. So be patient with that self-expression. Right? If you're guided to, listen to your inner guidance. If there's anything suggesting a bit of patience here, but maybe also challenging yourself to maybe express whatever that means for you personally, or to connect and create, have fun, whatever it is, that can be implemented groundedly in a much larger picture. So see the big picture. It's an excellent week for that with all the squares. But at the same time, see how you can honor that freedom of self-expression, but in constructive and grounded ways. Now, the focal point of all of this is in your 9th house. You've had your ruler in the 9th, but you're going to have the sun shifting into your 9th right at the beginning of the week. So I think it's been a lot of focus these past month plus, actually, on the deeper dimensions, on transformation, on breaking of patterns. That was all that concentration in your 8th. But now the sun leaving the 8th now, going over this transformational part of the chart, I think your self-expression is sort of transforming coming into the week. And the focus shift, I think, where it has been, but I think will increase, is on the life path, let's just say. The 9th house of the life path. That fire for life, that passion for life of expanding our horizons, whether they're mentally or literally, and treating life as a journey, right? As a journey to expand, to have that adventure, and to listen to that purpose, that inner guidance, that passion there. So it's invigorating, but then it's also challenging, collectively speaking, because of the squares from the 9th to the 5th, in this case, the end of your 5th. So the shift, though, is really good all week for focusing on and developing, putting that motivation and drive into expanding your horizons. Some of you maybe are traveling, or maybe there's something new involving that around the corner with the new moon. Maybe for others, it's connecting abroad with others abroad. Maybe some of you, it's marketing. Some of you, maybe it's higher learning through university or philosophy or spirituality or religion. Things like this are all the 9th house. So it's not quite there yet. The new beginnings with these things will be Sunday onward, right? But there's a foundation being laid with it as now the sun shifts into the 8th here. And some patience needed with it as well around Monday, but pretty much all week long as your ruler squares up to Uranus. Now, on a more minor note for you, on Monday, there might be some uncertainty or doubt, as I was saying, with Venus squaring Neptune. It may have to do with your home, family, or health in some way. But it's nothing major. I think it's going to lift up quite quickly. Maybe it's involving relationships, actually, for you. But whatever it is, it lifts up quite quickly on Tuesday. So just on Monday, sort of surrender what is outside of your control, whatever the area might be associated with, maybe relationships and or your roots, home, family, health. But then Venus trines Jupiter Tuesday. And so then that gives that positive energy. There might be some opportunities actually in relationships or with your values or enjoyments. And it is probably involving maybe your network circles or friends, expanding your horizons there. Maybe for your future hopes and wishes, you know, seeing that you can attain your hopes and wishes for the future. And it's about thinking big there. And through thinking big, we see opportunities we may not have seen before. So you got luck here. You got luck in terms of the things that you aspire towards, and also in terms of social circle stuff, if it's like that for you. And I think around Tuesday is just a really good week there, supporting that. And you might be quite easygoing. Venus rules your 12th as well. All right, but yeah, and then on Wednesday, Mercury does trine up to Saturn. So there is this very good stability, I think, with your career, productive life. I think your mind is here. Or maybe a lot of you are very busy here with the career. And again, maybe you're seeing the value of your career in terms of your aspirations. But this has been the undercurrent of last year and this year with the North Node. And so with Mercury close to the North Node all week, going exact on Friday, it's an undercurrent that is maybe something new you're learning about your career, or doing something new involving more practical things, or writing, or communication, or something like that. And it's all for you to develop this area. So I think it's a great place to focus your conscious mind, your rational mind. It's on everything productive, whatever that is for you personally. And I think you're going to find that there's some things to learn this week about how that is part of your life path right now. And maybe in August, there'll be a new beginning. There will be a new beginning, a powerful one with the eclipse associated with this career, productive, legacy, future-oriented part of the chart. Thursday, of course, the sun will be squaring up to Uranus. So as I was saying, all week long, sort of this integration here with the 5th and the 9th, right? So whatever that I described earlier with the patience with the self-expression and patience with the expansion of your horizons or of your mind, very important this week. All right, and then the week ends with Sunday's new moon, which will be conjunct your ruler Mars. So typically when this happens, there's a new beginning with us. And I think it's a new you that is more adventurous, more open-minded, more liberated in many ways with Mars on the 9th. So Again, it's going to be squaring Uranus, so I'm going to emphasize it again that this new moon is about patience with the self-expression, maybe challenging yourself with the freedom of self-expression in healthy ways. So with that perspective, though, I think it's a fantastic new beginning for anything that is involving the expansion of things and even your life path, and a new you arising from this. Maybe even a new routine or work. Something on the day-to-day could be on you as well. So see what it is. It's great to be flexible around the new moon because we don't know exactly what it is in our personal life, but certainly set some intentions with these things, and throughout the week you may start to notice what that is. All right, so Scorpio and Ophiuchus, have a fantastic week. Thank you again for all of your likes, comments, and shares with these videos. If you'd like a personal reading, there is a link down in the comment section for that. Looking at the year ahead for your personal chart. Sending you all the very best, and I'll see you very soon for the new moon forecast. Take care. Sagittarius, welcome to your weekly forecast. So let's get some context with your ruler Jupiter in the 10th house still, of course. It's been there, I think, for about the past 9 months now. This is the area of career, productive life, achievements, success. And so there's an undercurrent about this area, and even opportunity and luck. You know, your sign is about that, about expanding our horizons and mental horizons in order to see things that we otherwise wouldn't see. All right, so you could call it optimism, you could call it big picture thinking, you could even call it luck involving this stuff. So, you know, career, productive life. So really good to continue to expand on that area. And especially because Venus is going to be trining your ruler around Tuesday, you could be feeling good, looking good, maybe really seeing the value of some of that career, productive life. Maybe even too, seeing the value of your home, family, health, supported about midweek. And what I think you've already been seeing is the value of your work, your day-to-day, your routine, self-development perhaps. All of that is supported as well. You got some positive energy going into the work routine, day-to-day stuff, and maybe even spending time with friends, network circles, or some combination of what I just described. So either way, you got that support there here around Tuesday with Venus trine your ruler. Now let's talk about some of these challenging things we got this week collectively. You know, you do have a lot of concentration in your 8th house. It could be a very deep time, actually. You're gonna have the sun shifting into your 8th on Monday. And so there is this now focus on what truly matters most in life. And of course, to get there, to really get to the core of life, you could say, and of ourselves, we do have to go through the layers, right? So this is what this whole new beginning is going to be at the end of the week, but it's laying the framework all week long here about really getting into the deep dimensions of life, getting vulnerable with life, you know, with yourself on that deep level, uncovering things, and acceptance is the key with the 8th, because it's through the acceptance we heal. We heal whatever comes up, whether they're fears, traumas, wounds, whatever it might be. And it's a process, and like I said, it takes time, and it's a week of being patient. As I've said, there is this energy with the square up to Uranus, which is that you may have been feeling over the past roughly 8+ years, this freedom, wanting to break free, maybe involving your home life, for some of you, maybe family life on some level, and maybe even your health for others, or some combination of those. So it's about being patient with those areas all week long. Monday, Mars squares Uranus there. Thursday, the Sun squares Uranus, and then Sunday, the new moon will square Uranus. So yes, that's the sort of challenge, but again, where we want to challenge ourselves. Where can you challenge yourself this week in terms of finding healthy ways of freedom of home or location or family or health, things like this, and maybe even doing some healing with that. You've had Chiron transiting that area already. But anyways, yeah, patience with that, and then also patience with whatever this healing is or this transformation that's taking place. I think it's transforming you. I think it's transforming your self-expression. It's also transforming yourself on a very deep level. With Mars ruling your 12th in the 8th, this transformation of our spiritual beingness. But yeah, it's an very illuminating house, especially when the sun comes into the 8th, because this stuff is already there. This deep stuff. It's all the stuff we've brushed under the rug, right? So the sun now comes into the 8th, illuminates this area for you, all the hidden things, all of the fears, all these patterns that are based on fear, that now you have this opportunity here to just be aware of, to accept, and work with, and maybe do some of that healing. And as I said, the real new beginnings with this will be at the end of the week, but it's just a great week for laying that foundation there. All right, so yeah, so Venus in good aspect to Jupiter around Tuesday. That Venus will be squaring up to Neptune on Monday, though, with those other challenging aspects on Monday. Venus squaring Neptune, maybe there's some uncertainty. I don't think it's going to be a major thing for your sign unless you're Taurus or Libra, or Taurus or Libra in your chart. Sun, moon, or ascendant. But whatever this is, I think just letting go of anything that's outside of your control around Monday. Maybe it's involving the mind. Neptune in the 3rd, it's really been helping you surrender the mind, thinking, all this to find peace. At least that's a really good way of working with it. And maybe some uncertainty involving some of that beneficial stuff like the work, the routine, and the day-to-day. And maybe even too with friends or network circle stuff. Some uncertainty or something there that as you surrender can free up that area. But then immediately after that on Tuesday, right? And like I said, I don't think it's a major thing because your ruler is still trining Venus while she does that. So that's the dominant energy. Seeing Tuesday the opportunities with career, productive life, work, and network circles perhaps. Okay, Mercury trines Saturn on Wednesday. Some good positive energy. I think you're seeing the big picture as you always do. But you do have Mercury in the 9th house. Really good for learning things like philosophy, religion, about matters that are usually distant or abroad in some way on that level if it's mental there. Or maybe you're just communicating more about your philosophical viewpoints, or you're learning more about philosophy, all this more life path related stuff. Really good for that mental energy. And it's very grounded this week. Saturn trines Mercury into that 9th house. Mercury's going to go over the North Node on Friday. There's this new beginning with your life path about learning and communicating or sharing of information. It could even be a new beginning with your career on some level. Not major. I think next month that'll be, and maybe even more so the month after that, but soon, the next couple months, some new beginnings with the career. But you're getting some inclinations or some new insights which could be leading up to that, both in terms of new beginnings with your career and relationships with Mercury going over the North Node. It's not like an actual event or something with the node, but it's this undercurrent, this inclination, and just being open to learning. I think specifically, anything that's about learning about higher things, and your wisdom and sharing your wisdom, learning from others, and expanding your horizons, seeing the big picture of your life, tapping into that spirit for life, which again is natural for you. But learning about all this is fantastic with Mercury there and his aspects this week. All right, and then the weekends with the new moon in your 8th, conjunct Mars, be probably a new beginning with not only this new, deeper connection and vulnerability with life, and this breaking of patterns that'll be unfolding as you go through this lunar cycle, but you're seeing it. There's a new beginning with it. It could even be a new transformation. It's also a new beginning with yourself spiritually, finding some peace, some receptive energy, even a new beginning with your self-expression, your creative side. Mars rules your 5th as well. Okay, and then as a reminder though, as I've been reiterating for all the videos, there's a lot of these squares with Uranus, so it's not that it's necessarily going to be an intense thing or a major thing, but I think it's important on some level for you, and for all of us, at least on some level, to have this awareness about, in this case for your sign, the importance of patience with whatever this home, family, or health stuff is, and how you can find freedom with that in constructive ways. All right, so Sagittarius, have a fantastic week. Thank you for all of your likes, comments, and shares with these videos. There's a link down in the comment section if you'd like a personal reading looking at the year ahead for your personal charts, because of course this is just a general reading. But yeah, have a great week, and I'll see you all very soon for the new moon forecast. Take care. Capricorn, welcome to your weekly forecast. So let's have a look at this challenging stuff first, because right at the beginning of the week, right, collectively for all of us, not necessarily your sign, but collectively, there is this Mars squaring up to Uranus on Monday. Then on Thursday, the Sun squares Uranus, and then we have a new moon squaring Uranus on Sunday. So yeah, this square, this Uranus, right, this bottlenecking energy, I think there's this, I don't know, however you're feeling it, the frustration or the impulse, the restriction or confinement or whatever it is. What's essentially taking place is that over the past 8+ years, Uranus in your 3rd house has been helping you find the freedom of, you know, doing things that are more maybe in the community or with your peers, or maybe it's doing some reading and writing. Sharing your information with the world, learning from others. Maybe for some of you, it's getting into business or the marketplace. And all of this can be very freeing, and it has been very liberating, you know, off and on throughout the past 8+ years. But now we come to a challenge with this. So what are some things that you can be patient with involving these practical matters this week? Okay. And so with that patience, which is again very natural for your sign anyways, squares usually, you know, they're challenging, but you're a Capricorn. It's in your nature to have patience, see the big picture. But yeah, whatever the square is, just having that maybe step back, being aware of this, wanting to break free and listen to it though. There's some freedom here, certainly important about your mind and communication and learning and sharing and practical things. And then the perhaps, you know, your community in the sense of your peers or your neighbors, things like this. So just be kind of cool with that. Take it one step at a time. Integrate patience in that, you know, integrate the patience, but while at the same time listening to that freedom and implementing the freedom. Okay. So with that being said, there is this emphasis on your relationships this week. Actually, you'll probably feel this right at the beginning of the week. The Sun shifts into your 7th. In fact, you may have already been quite motivated here with Mars in the 7th, but this is the focal area. So I think your attention is going to shift towards connecting with others. It could be those relationships you already have in your life, but also some of you may be forming some new relationships here at the end of the week. So whatever it is, it's great to be, I think, getting out there one-to-one, forming partnerships, forming agreements if it's maybe more business related. Could be about clients for you. Others, it could be romantic. Others, it could just be about any perspective on relationships. There's just this new shift. And again, because the square is also affecting this area, be patient with it as well. There might be that wanting to break free, break through in this relationship sector. But yeah, again, it's part of a much larger cycle that now is requiring this integration with freedom in healthy and balanced and grounded ways. So with that being said, this early part of the week as well, we do have Venus squaring up to Neptune, which actually I see as a very positive thing with Venus this week. I think there's a lot to enjoy about your self-expression right now. Any hobbies or interests you might have, really good week for enjoying that all week long. Your creative side, perhaps, for some of you, and anything that's close to your heart or you find fun. That's where the enjoyment is with Venus in the 5th. However, on Monday, and really just isolated in this day, is a square up to Neptune that maybe there's some uncertainty about the self-expression. Maybe there's some uncertainty about the career productive stuff. Maybe it's about the finances or material stuff because Neptune's been in your 2nd. So letting go of those areas can help free you up here. Again, great part of the week for meditation, spiritual, constructive things with for everyone with the square up to Neptune. But yeah, it could be involving those areas. But then right after that, on Tuesday, Venus trines up to Neptune, which is then giving positive support in terms of that self-expression, in terms of perhaps that career and productive stuff. And it's a Jupiter. It's been in your 9th. The opportunities here for the past 9 months have really been for you to expand your horizons. All right. For some of you, it's travel. For others, it's philosophy. For others, it's university studies. For others, it's just your life path, or just viewing life from a much more top-down perspective. And that's where the opportunity is: thinking big, expanding your horizons. So good support there, actually, Tuesday for those things, and it is supporting your self-expression as well. Mercury trines up to your ruler on Wednesday, so you could be really feeling quite practical this week, maybe like communication, sharing, writing, learning, again, like that 3rd house over there. But Mercury's been in your 8th, and so I think there's a lot to learn, as there was, I think, last week about research or uncovering hidden things, maybe about yourself through breaking of some patterns, some fears maybe, but it's practical, it's learning. And this is really what the life path has been this past last year and this year, is how to go into this area of getting vulnerable with life and learning more about what truly matters to you. And so Mercury is really helping you learn more about this stuff through the transformation process, through learning more about yourself psychologically on that deep level and unconsciously, even subconsciously. And so everything you're learning here, yeah, is really, I think, changing your perspective, changing your life path in many ways. All right, and then the week ends on Sunday with the new moon. As I said, new beginnings with relationships, at least in terms of your perspective on relationships. And could even be a new beginning too with your home, family, or health, as well as your network circles or community, or your aspirations, actually, which is where your ruler Saturn is. So this stuff has been emphasized the past couple years, either if it's more introverted, you could say, maybe it's about your aspirations, future hopes and wishes. If it's more extroverted, it might be through social circles, community, and maybe it's a little bit of both, but it's patience with that area. Obviously, your ruler's here, but it's accentuating this area. This area is being built. And so it's another positive new beginning now, new beginnings with the aspirations, with the network circles, and again, home, family, or health, all sort of relating to your relationships. So I think that's the fundamentals, a new beginning with your relationships, and then through that, in some way, I think suggesting new beginning with your roots and your aspirations in life. All right, so Capricorn, have a fantastic week. Thank you for watching. If you'd like a personal reading, there's a link down in the comment section for that, looking at the year ahead for your personal chart. But yeah, wishing you the very best week, and I'll see you very soon for the new moon forecast. Take care. Aquarius, let's have a look at this weekly forecast. So let's start with this challenging stuff we've got this week, right? Collectively speaking, Mars squaring up to Uranus coming into the week on Monday. The concentration here, which has been the case, but really what's shifting on Monday with the Sun, is this emphasis on your 6th house. Mars has been here, but the Sun's shifting into your 6th. The 6th house is the house of your work, your day-to-day work, your routine, your health, your diet, your regimens, anything you do on a day-to-day level. So there's new beginnings here around the corner on Sunday. We're going to have a new beginning here. But as we lead into that, we're sort of laying the foundations and the framework with that. So with Mars, yes, great for motivating yourself and putting in some of that energy into your routine, your day-to-day, time management, energy management, whatever you're doing there. I think your focus will be there with the Sun. But with that being said, Mars is squaring up to Uranus on Monday, suggesting that there might be some patience maybe needed with the freedom that you might be wanting to break free from. The breaking free might be involving your resources or finances or investments or something like that. Or maybe there's some things you can challenge yourself towards this week involving that. That might be uncomfortable, but maybe feels like a change you may feel like you want to make. But whatever it is, patience with it and freedom with it. How you can have patience and freedom at the same time with the square of Uranus. Without, reacting or doing anything impulsively or whatever. Because we could feel that way, right? There's this sort of anxiety or impulse or restriction energy with any square to Uranus. And he's going to be squaring Mars Monday, then the Sun on Thursday, and then the new moon will be squaring Uranus as well. So however you're feeling that, patience with this area I think is very important, but listen to that freedom. There's something here about creating some change here with your resources. And it all starts from the inner resources, right? Your sense of self-worth, your self-reliance, your natural gifts and abilities, cultivating those. But yeah, patience with those matters. And also patience too with the work and routine and day-to-day, because again, Uranus will be squaring up to those planets in your 6th. All right, also in the beginning of the week, Venus squares up to Neptune. Not a major thing, I don't feel like, but if there's anything that you can let go that is beyond your control, right? Really good day for that, especially because Mars will already be squaring Uranus. So things like meditation, presence could be great for all of us coming into the week. But enjoy your home life, your family life, your health. This is where the enjoyments are, even though there might be some uncertainties about those things, or maybe uncertainties about where you're going and who you are in many ways with Neptune in your 1st. Yes, connect here to your roots. Home, family, health, really good for that enjoyment there. And finding maybe some constructive ways of finding peace through that area. But right after that on Tuesday, Venus does trine up to Jupiter. So there is this supportive energy then coming into this area, lifting up home, family, health, maybe some opportunity. Maybe you're seeing a big picture with that stuff. Maybe you're feeling quite adventurous in general. And it might have to do with the fact that there's been opportunities for you to really share resources. Maybe others are providing some income for you. Maybe you're using debt in healthy ways, which debt can be used in healthy ways, of course. And maybe some of you too are seeing that there's good opportunities for intimacy in your personal relationships, for transformation, for change. And so whatever this deeper stuff is that is expanding, there's opportunities with, it's definitely supporting whatever it is that you're connecting to with your roots here around Tuesday. And then Wednesday, Mercury trines your ruler Saturn. So midweek, you could be quite communicative. In fact, I think you kind of already are. You got Mercury in your 7th house. I think you're at the very least thinking about relationships. There's a lot to learn about relationships right now. In fact, all of last year and this year had the North Node in your 7th of relationships, which is about learning and developing new ones. And through that, learning about relationships, right? So Mercury is going to go over the North Node on Friday, trining up to your ruler Saturn on Wednesday. It's a lot of this practical stuff. And all in all, I think maybe Wednesday you're just feeling quite communicative or expressive. Maybe even creative, actually. Mercury rules your 5th and Mercury's in Leo. But yeah, even too with relationships could be supporting you in some way or what you're learning about them. All right, and then Thursday is another square with Sun, Uranus, as I talked about, this integration between the resources, patience, but freedom there, change there. Might be uncomfortable, but the key is I think focusing on the routine, the health, the diet, the regimens, and then that's where the new beginning is with the day-to-day. And so seeing, you know, we're going to be approaching that new moon this later part of the week, so we'll be in the ending phase, the balsamic phase, listening, being receptive to what the new beginnings are. But Sunday onward, you could start to see that there's a new beginning with the day-to-day stuff. Maybe even too with your career, actually, your productive life, and even too with communication and how you think about things and the more practical stuff in life. Mars rules your 10th and 3rd house. But I think the fundamental here is with the importance of habits. 6th house, you know, there's healthy habits that we can build, that we can do on a daily level. And that, of course, sets the foundation for arguably everything else, right? When we have healthy habits, everything else just kind of comes from that. All right, so Aquarius, have a great week. Thank you again for all of your likes, comments, and shares with these videos. I hope you found this video helpful. There's a link down in the comments section if you'd like a personal reading looking at the year ahead for your individual chart, because, of course, this was for the general Aquarius forecast. But wishing you the very best week, and I'll see you all very soon for the new moon forecast. Take care. Pisces, welcome to your weekly forecast. So let's have a look at some of these challenging aspects. First, in terms of what we got at the beginning of the week, collectively challenging, that is, of course, you know, all these, as I was saying in the collective, all these squares and things are the times when we make the grounded and long-term, long-lasting changes that are so important for us in our life. Now, the area here that's being emphasized is with your 5th house. The sun's going to shift into your 5th. Mars has already been here. This is the house of your self-expression. It's the house of creativity. It's the house of anyone or anything that's close to your heart. It's also the house of hobbies and interests. So self-expression fundamentally, creativity, fun, playfulness, right? And more passion for life stuff. There's a lot of drive here to do this. I think, in fact, you're very direct with your self-expression. All right, you got Mars in the 5th, and now the sun here is going to accentuate this, and we'll of course have the new moon at the end of the week in this area. So around the corner there is a new beginning with that. But with this being said, there's those squares up to Uranus, and Uranus is in your sign. So over the past 8+ years, I think you've been finding this freedom of being who you are, and of individualism, right, and expressing yourself. And so now it's about finding healthy ways of doing that, I feel like, generally speaking. Because on one hand, you may feel like you want to break through or break free just generally with Uranus in your sign. And so with all this emphasis on self-expression, it's great to be, yes, expressing yourself, but with this balance, right, with this integration in this healthy way without maybe reacting. Because, again, the square up to Uranus can maybe give us a bit of that anxiety or that restricted or confining sort of energy. So however you're feeling that, just again, it's about constructively implementing the self-expression one step at a time. The square's like Saturn, so it's like patience with that. And also too, patience with yourself, what you feel like is true to you in terms of you being who you are and having more freedom in your life, just taking that one step at a time. But listening to that, Uranus is helping you be your true self, is helping you align with that, have the freedom, even the freedom of that self-expression. But it's this part of the cycle where it requires that integration, that patience, and constructive implementation. Now, Venus is going to be squaring up to Neptune as well at the beginning of the week. So there could be this, first of all, I think the foundation is that you could be enjoying some learning. You could be enjoying some reading, some writing perhaps for some of you. There's a lot of this more practical stuff you could be enjoying with Venus in the 3rd. But Venus squaring Neptune just really isolated on Monday. Maybe there is some clash. Maybe, you know, because Neptune is your modern ruler. So maybe it's involving this sort of maybe relationships, or maybe about the communication just generally, or maybe the mind, working with the mind in healthy ways, getting your alone time. Neptune's in your 12th, so it's such an important time for you to, you know, get your alone time and receptive time and intuitive time, generally for your sign anyways. But while Neptune's been here for the past, what has it been, at least a decade now. So anyways, that square, yeah, may create some uncertainty, may create some clash or something like that with communication or with information. So make sure you're crossing those T's, dotting your I's, information's getting across clearly, and just being tactful, cooperative as best as you can if there's any clash with the relationship side. These are just some examples, but I think fundamentally it's about communication, it's about learning, it's about sharing, and all that kind of stuff that you can be connecting to. So right after that, though, Venus trines Jupiter, and so then there's this expansion here involving relationships and this area. Again, great for learning and practical stuff, communication, but it's very much supporting it. The past 9 months, you've had Jupiter in your 7th, and he's in good aspect with Venus, so there might be maybe around Tuesday some opportunities with relationships, new ones, maybe existing ones in general, business partnerships, whatever it might be. But yeah, this is your ruler in the 7th. It's really the theme of last year and this year in many ways about developing new relationships, developing existing relationships, and it's a supportive time on Tuesday for those matters. On Wednesday, Mercury does trine up to, and by the way, you could be feeling good, looking good, you know, with Venus trining your ruler like that. Could be, you know, getting into that Venusian side of things, and even attracting the things you enjoy, things you value, the people you value in life, that kind of thing. So Wednesday, Mercury trines up to Saturn, and there is this constructive energy with our mind. I think for you, it might be involving your routine, actually, your day-to-day. You got Mercury in your 6th. There's a lot to learn about your routine at this time, or to organize and structure. Maybe it's with your work, time management, energy management, developing your skills perhaps. Whatever it is on this day-to-day, yeah, lots to learn about, lots to develop, and I think Saturn's going to be helping you do that. Good grounded energy, actually, going into the 6th house. And then Mercury gets close to the North Node on Friday after we have that square with the Sun and Uranus. So again, kind of all week long, that integration I was talking about earlier. But yeah, Mercury over the North Node as an undercurrent. Maybe there are some things you're learning about habits and healthy habits and routine and day-to-day stuff that is so imperative in our life, right? To have good habits, to have good routine as a structure to things or work, whatever that is. That's day-to-day. Just all week, great for learning about it, but you might notice as an undercurrent on Friday, something shifting along your life path here. Maybe some information or something you're gaining is taking you into a new direction. All right, and then the weekend's on Sunday with the new beginning with the 5th house. The 5th house is self-expression, it's creativity, it's romance, it's children, it's anything we're passionate about, it's entrepreneurship. So anything we create and that's close to our heart is generally what this is about, however that might manifest for you personally. So listen to this, listen to whatever this new beginning is Sunday onward, and maybe set some intentions with this area. But again, patience is the name of the game, because there might be this impulsiveness. The new moon's going to be squaring Uranus. Uranus is in your sign. It might have to do with wanting freedom, individuality, breaking free. So listen to that freedom. As I said, Uranus is helping you be your true self, but there's a constructive way of doing that, whatever that means for you personally. And so take it one step at a time, but use this motivation and drive. The new moon's going to be conjunct Mars. You got this passion and drive towards the self-expression, towards those passions or whatever it is, or hobbies, interests, just having some fun. And even a new beginning too with your resources. Mars rules your 2nd, so it could be a new beginning with finances, resources, investments, your sense of self-worth actually, and as well as your bigger picture. Mars rules your 9th house as well, seeing the big picture and tapping into that adventurous spirit. All right, so Pisces, have a fantastic week. Thank you for all of your likes, comments, and shares with these videos. It's very much appreciated. If you'd like a personal reading, there's a link down in the comment section for that, looking at the year ahead for you personally using your individual chart. But have a great one, and I'll see you all very soon for the new moon forecast. Take care.